Hey everybody, it's your jungle expert Ryan Flaress Doyle back hosting yet another video, and you know, I've been experimenting around playing Neeko jungle pretty heavily over the last couple days, and let me tell you, nothing brings me more satisfaction than having the enemy team crying jungle difference and hard flaming each other for losing to a Neeko jungle. But after a couple games, it really made me think about all of the other underrated picks that are out there right now, and that's why I put together a list of strong champions that have flown way under the radar that you can honestly climb with right now. Yes, right now in your rank games. And leading off for our underrated picks, we have Poppy Jungle. Popstars is perfect for newbies and veterans alike who want to turn their brains off and reap easy LP gains. Poppy is super easy to pick up and master, with your only real challenge lies in your reaction time with your steadfast presence and your pins from your E. Pop-Tarts hasn't been seen in so long that people have forgotten that when she stops a dash with her W, they're grounded and slowed for 2 seconds. And in this high damage meta, being grounded for 2 seconds is guaranteed to give you a one-way ticket to the gray screen. Additionally, Pop Rocks has also benefited from the Cinderhulk changes from patch 10.4, as well as the recent buffs to her Q damage versus jungle camps. Keep in mind it does % max health damage, which makes her a good pick against the other tanks like Sejuani, Warwick, Zac, or even goes head to toe against the likes of Lee Sin and Echo. For her build, be sure to utilize Blue Smite Cinderhulk, Deadman's Plate, and Spirit Visage if you want to go full tank. However, if you find yourself stomping out your opponents early, go ahead and grab yourself a Trinity Force after your Cinderhulk, then proceed to build full tank items after that. For runes, you could take the standard Aftershock setup most tanks go, but there's been this new setup with Electrocute that's been doing much better. You're going to want to take Electrocute, Sudden Impact, Zombie Ward, and Relentless Hunter, with your secondary runes being, if they're heavy CC, take Precision and run Triumph and Legend Tenacity. If not, run them down with Sorcery secondary with Nimbus Cloak and Water Walking. Do you feel that chill in the air? I guess it's just me, because moving on we have Anivia middle, where things are looking sunny side up as she is getting a buff this patch in the hopes that people will recognize that this champion wasn't actually scrambled from the game. Ride is making it to where the chill on her ultimate has been increased from 2 to 3 seconds, which will allow her to have a bit bigger window in order to burst you down, which will prove quite excellent. Alright, enough of the egg puns, they're just too easy. Anivia is tricky at first, but after you've invested a couple games onto her, you'll see the raw potential she has to offer. The biggest and most annoying thing players hate about Anivia is how well she stalls out games. You'll love picking Anivia up to counter this heavy teamfight meta, as she can just clear a wave in a blink of an eye and stall out the game with ease. This provides time for your 0-20 bot lane to farm up and scale so that you can actually complete that late game comeback, simply because Anivia makes it harder for teams to close out games. In lane phase, you really have one job: make it to level 6 unscathed. Your early base HP on Anivia is one of the lowest in the game. Look out for counter picks like Kiana, Diana, and Katarina, or anybody who's just got high mobility to dodge your Qs, as well as dip out of your ultimate to get on top of you. In teamfights, she'll just pick apart and zone out the enemy team in the form of her Crystallize and her Glacial Storm, while they freeze to death and get popped by the double damage from Anivia's Frostbite. With Anivia's build, be sure to rush a tier into Rod of Ages. After Roa is finished, complete your tier into an Archangel Staff, and then finish a Liandry's to round out your core items. For runes, I'll recommend that you take Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter. For your secondary runes, just take Precision and utilize Presence of Mind and Coup de Grace. For our next pick, we got the FlyQuest mascot, Tree Man Maokai, and he has been talked about recently in the support role, but nobody seems to be giving him his fair shot. Maokai has got Sustain from Poke thanks to his passive, Point Click CC from W, Bush Control thanks to his Saplings, and Engage or Disengage potential thanks to his Nature's Grasp. And if you're still not sold on Maokai support, he's sitting at an eye-popping 53.78% win rate, which means you should definitely give Maokai a try in the support role. It's a no-brainer that Maokai is going to take a bit of harassment in lane from ranged champs, but the way to punish enemies for trading onto is just walking at them when they go for chip damage and immediately WQ them. Odds are that they are just so squishy, your early base damages as well as the early damage from your AD carry will just kill them just as quick as Fiddlesticks murdered Tedric. F's down in the comments for Tedric, may he rest in peace. In teamfights, you shouldn't be the main engagement tool unless it's absolutely necessary. Your ultimate is a windup and it's really easy to dodge if you're being careless. Look to either ult them from a flank or catch them off guard, or better yet, just force them into a funnel into a choke point. If you're not comfortable doing that, you could just flash W into the entire team like Rambo and then R for a guaranteed lockdown. Then again, only look to do so if you're ahead or if you have Gargoyle Stoneplate completed. For Maokai support's build, go ahead and pick up a Relic Shield and then go ahead and complete Zeke's Convergence or Knight's Vow. You want to build them both, but rush Zeke's if you're already winning lane or build Knight's Vow if you're even or behind. For runes, go ahead and take Aftershock, Fonts of Life, Bone Plating, and Revitalize, while rounding out the build with Stopwatch and Cosmic Insight. Now you can replace Bone Plating with Second Wind if there's range, but otherwise just stick with Bone Plating. Just be sure to hang on to that Stopwatch for later, as you'll want to eventually build a Gargoyle Stone Plate after you've built your core items. It's a bird! No, it's a plane! No, never mind. I was right. It was a bird. Quinn is another champion that's been overshadowed since Season 10 had begun, and she's been doing amazing with a couple of new builds recently. Quinn is a massive lane bully with S tier roaming and gank potential, and if all else fails, you can just split to win in a side lane and force somebody to come deal with you instead. Most times when I see people play Quinn, they max Q first, but let me tell you, you've been thinking about it all wrong. Quinn's Heightened Senses increases her attack speed as high as 80% at level 9, which is why I recommend that you max W, then Q, then E. When trading in the lane phase, be sure to proc your Harrier passive to benefit from your attack speed steroid from your W. Combo that up with an E auto, Q auto for a quick yet effective trade. When it comes to teamfights, you have high quality flank potential and burst onto the enemy's backline. Just be sure to wait until you see them use abilities so they cannot pop you instead. Positioning and timing is key because at the end of the day, you're just an AD carry begging to get one shot by who knows what. Because Quinn has multiple builds that are doing so well right now, it would honestly be a disservice just to only show you one. For her first build, go ahead and build a Sanguini Blade into Stormrazor, then Phantom Dancer versus a more squishy team. However, if the enemy team is a bit beefier, go ahead and build a Blade of the Ruin King first, then Phantom Dancer and IE to round out your core items. The runes you're going to want to go for the first build are going to go ahead and look like Electrocute, Cheap Shot, Eyeball Collection, and Relentless Hunter, with secondary runes Triumph and Coupe de Gracie. And for those runes to beat down those pesky tanks and bruisers, take Press the Attack, Overheal, Legend Alacrity, and Coupe de Grace, with secondary Nimbus Cloak and Absolute Focus. Next up, we have League's favorite Hextech Yordle Ziggs, and he has long seen the light of professional play since his glory days of Season 3, and with the introduction of more in-your-face assassins like Kiana, Ziggs has been long forgotten in the minds of many players. However, Ziggs is making a comeback and his wave clear is as strong as before, as well as the buffs he received in patch 10.2. Ziggs is a huge lane bully when you can actually land your bouncing bombs. With Ziggs, most players opt in to shove in waves and then harass the enemy mid laner under tower while also chipping away at tower platings. And if you do this well enough, you can actually detonate your satchel charge to execute the tower from nearly 2 plates to 0. Talk about a huge payday, right? When teamfighting with Ziggs, try poking out your enemies from a distance, allowing your team to be in a position to either all in or force recalls, which will allow y'all to bully in and take objectives. You really want to hold on to your satchel for disengage or for peel to create space for yourself to keep lobbing your bouncing bombs. Your explosive minefield is a great damage tool and zoning tool, as popping one too many is going to devastate their health bars and make it easier for you to land your Qs. With Ziggs, you're going to want to build a Luton's Echo, Morella Namacon, and Rabadon's Deathcap as your core items. And to appease the build lord LS himself, you should probably cheat and just hold on to your Oblivion Orb to rush your Rabadons quicker. However, if the enemy team does have a lot of lifesteal and sustain, just go ahead and complete your Morellos anyways. Ziggs' runes are going to look a little like this: Arcane Comet, Mana Flow Band, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. For secondary runes, it's a bit all over the place, but you could get away with any of the trees really. But I'd honestly suggest Magical Footwear and Biscuits, which will help you prioritize your core items quicker and have a bit of sustain to get to level 6. Just be sure to toss your priority to your jungler, as that way, if you butter them up just enough, they'll end up giving you their second blue buff, and who doesn't want that, right? This stallion has been creeping up in win rate over the last couple patches and is receiving a buff on his ultimate in 10.6, but one notable thing in the meantime in particular is that Hecarim players have been skipping their jungle item rush and electing to build Triforce first. Now it seems a little bit weird, but Hecarim really does benefit from Triforce more than he would like Cinderhulk or Warriors. I've tried this out, and when you play Hecarim with Triforce, it really feels like you're running down your enemy instead of just a trot. Hecarim's clear is pretty solid thanks to his AoE from Rampage, so you'll be able to efficiently clear Krugs and Raptors with ease. Just be sure to start Hunter's Talisman over Machete, otherwise that little horsey is going to go see Lassie in the greener pastures when you try and clear. Hecarim's ganks are pretty nice, as you can gank from pretty much anywhere thanks to his devastating charge. Just don't be like me and end up charging the tower while ganking bot and feeding doubles for their AD carry. For the most part, you should charge up your E and ultimate to get in the range of the backline. This will fear everybody near the area and allow for you to land your E on a backline carry. Conqueror and your Spirit of Dread should keep you up just long enough to annihilate any squishy target, then trample anybody else who dares walk in your path. For Hecarim's build, if you haven't guessed it already, you're going to go ahead and rush a Trinity Force, then build Warriors if you're snowballing, and Cinderhulk if you're even or behind, with third item SirhcEz to round out the core item. For your most optimal rune setup, go ahead and take Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, and Coup de Grace, with secondary Celerity and Water Walking. Much like old Aatrox, it seems like right before a champion gets a major rework, they start to be strong pick and solo queue. So before this version of Volibear meets his maker, abuse it before it's ultimately released weak, or have a general idea about how to play it and stomp with it when it's released like set. You're gonna look at a win-win here and just thank Papa Flares later for your LP gains. With Volibear top, be sure to chase down your opponent with your Q. E right before if they are just out of range of your Q, or after you flip them so you can just maul them relentlessly and execute them with your Frenzy. As Volibear top, you're gonna want to skirmish whenever you have your passive available, because as you're fighting, when you fall below a certain threshold of HP, you'll regen your HP very quickly, which to champions who don't have enough DPS to finish the job, you'll be able to turn fights around in your favor. Also, your passive will force enemies to sink gold into healing reduction such as Morellos or Bramblevast, which halts their item spikes by just a little bit. When it comes to team fighting, try to catch out overextended players and layer your crowd control for your team to grab a quick kill. Otherwise, look to peel for your AD carry or mid laner if they've scaled well enough to dish out some damage in team fights. Otherwise, go ham and push forward so the enemy team has to deal with you first and not your teammates. This should be the case anyways, because you'll inevitably be beefy at 2 to 3 items while also tearing their team to shreds. For Volley Top's build, you're going to want to build a Tiamat first if you're even or ahead. If you're still even or ahead after that, go ahead and complete Titanic Hydra, then Sunfire Cape and Spirit Visage respectively. If you're behind, just sit on Tiamat and build your tank items and complete your Titanic second or third instead. For your runes, just be sure to take Press the Attack, Triumph, Legend Tenacity, and Last Stand, with your secondaries being Demolish and Second Wind. Now, you've probably been aware that mages have been taking over the AD carry role and have been working successfully for a while now. However, Veigar has long flown under the radar and is receiving buffs on patch 10.6, but that wasn't stopping him before from being a great bot laner. With Veigar, your objective is to scale to the mid to late game and farm up your passive stacks as best as you can. Some supports, for example, that can really allow Veigar to shine are Yuumi, Nami, and even Thresh. Now, Veigar can dismantle any teamfight comp or gank right in their tracks thanks to his cage, so it's very important as Veigar that you know how to read a fight. Your cages are a major play-stopping tool that guarantee flashes or even certain death. Look for picks with your Spooky Ghost or Super Soaker so that your cage is easier to land. Afterward, land your free damage on a stun target with your W and Q. If they're still not dead yet, just give them the old skill gap point click execute with your Primordial Burst to quickly turn the fight into a 5v4. For Veigar's items, just be sure to rush your Super Soaker, GLP, Spooky Ghost, and Rabadon's Death Cap. But if you're already getting blown up before your Death Cap purchase, just substitute it out with the Zhonya's instead. And if you've been paying attention, because I mentioned earlier that you're going to be building a Super Soaker and Spooky Ghost, it only makes sense you're going to be taking Glacial Augment, as well as Magical Footwear, Biscuits, and Cosmic Insight with secondary Taste of Blood and Ingenious Hunter. If you're just tired of being blown up in one shot as an AD carry, why not make the switch now to a mage that'll just do the same exact thing to an ADC, am I right? Now, I gotta have more cowbell, as everybody's favorite unmilkable cow is creeping back into the meta. Alistar has long been a staple intro to the support champion and has had a lot of his hard mechanics pruned away over the years. His W and Q combo is relatively easy to land nowadays, and thanks to his buffs last patch has been a sturdy pick lately. Alistar shines as a good frontline tank who loves to dive towers and be an engaging tool for their team. Just remember to input W then Q. As long as you do that, you won't see a barrage of question mark pings at your feet and or dead body. One thing that you gotta do at the beginning of your game is just to quickly identify if it's your job on Alistar to be your engagement tool or appealing tool. If you need to be the engaging tool, you're well equipped with your unbreakable will to soak loads of damage to buy time for your team to shred the enemy frontline to win you team fights. However, if you need to be the peeler for your team, look to headbutt or pulverize divers and stick yourself between your carry and the enemy. They'll have to get through you first, right? Now, similarly to how I explained Maokai's build, be sure to start Relic Shield and then build Zeke's and Knight's Vow. Also, even though Moby Boots got nerfed by 100 gold, still pick those up as you need to look to roam to gank mid or just to help your jungler as they're inevitably going to go for a Scuttle Crab much to your team's inconvenience. For Ali's runes, it's just best to run Aftershock paired with Font of Life, Bone Plating, and Overgrowth with secondary runes Biscuit Delivery and Cosmic Insight. For our last and final champion, we have League's favorite rat who has been doing pretty well as of late, but has been overshadowed by the likes of Aphelios, Misfortune, Senna, and even Ezreal. Twitch is also receiving a skin buff on patch 10.6, so expect to see an eye-popping profit margins and LP gains when you pick him up. Late game, he probably has the single highest DPS out of any AD carry with the attack speed boost, the AoE damage, the crits, all of it stacks up to be a deadly as soon as he opens up in combat, practically being burst straight away. His roaming is the other side of what makes him so good. if Twitch gets a few early kills, or even just at one item, he can start to roam and gank other lanes, or even gank his own. But the more kills he picks up, the quicker he can snowball into his hypercarry late game. Now, Twitch has always had the issue of having zero mobility, and so the best supports are the ones that keep him alive like Yuumi and Lulu, which are almost always needed to play him. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to find Twitch being in underrated videos a ton. As Twitch, go ahead and rush Blade of the Rune King, Runaan's Hurricane, and Infinity Edge as your core items. For Twitch's runes, just take Press the Attack, as well as Triumph, Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, with secondary magical footwear and biscuits. You know, as I wrap up this video, I should really mention that there are plenty more sleeper OP picks out there like Rengar top, Camille middle, Kog'Maw AD carry, Ivern jungle, or even Swain support. But then again, why bother when you guys don't even want to play them anyways, am I right? But anyway, what are some of y'all's sleeper OP picks? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as consider liking this video and subscribing to the Mobalytics YouTube channel, where we regularly post informational content and patch tier list videos to give you all the edge in your games. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and be sure to wash your hands, give these picks a try, and good luck out there on the Rift.